everyone, and welcome. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyway, welcome everyone. Does anybody have anything for additions to the agenda? I have one. Anybody else? I'd like to have put Mary Lynn in under guest, like add a B or something like that. She's just going to request a display for POW MIA like she has every year. So if we add that to guests B, I would entertain a motion for that, and that's the only one.
So moved, Madam Chair.
So second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to add Mary Lynn for POW MIA Recognition Week display. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. I don't have any remarks, either nice or fresh. None. All right, and we'll move on. David, want to come up? Welcome.
Thank you.
And you have an overview for us.
I do.
Good. Keep us informed, buddy.
I hope I do. So, I think you all know me, I'm David Andrews. I've got two topics to give you guys some information on. This was based on the last select board meeting, and there seemed to be some questions and some issues that needed clarification. So I hope that when I finish this, you'll have some gray cleared from your heads and things will make a little bit more sense. The first is the Entergy fire sale equipment disposition. I'll start this with a disclaimer. I'm not authorized to speak on behalf of Entergy Corporation. I'm speaking only of my involvement to help provide you with better understanding of the process that was involved. I worked on the team that was tasked with dispositioning some of our assets that were no longer required related to our former in-house fire brigade. The assets were gathered up and a team determined the disposition. Some items were earmarked for specific organizations. Now, Chief Capen was here at the last meeting talking about thermal imaging cameras, or TICs as they're called. At the time that we started this disposition, Entergy had 2 TICs. It seemed like last week there was a question about where did the 1 TIC go. There's actually 2 TICs. One was a newer unit, just a few years old, and the company decided to keep that unit as it has applications outside of the original firefighting use, including for troubleshooting pumps, motors, transformers, and things like that. So that was kept. As a side note, it may be in a few years' time that asset may come up for disposition, but right now it's being kept. The second thermal imaging camera was unique. The camera included a small transmitter which sent the video image to a second remote monitor which could be viewed by students and instructors during training. This was used when we performed our annual training up at the Vermont Fire Academy in Pittsburgh. The decision was made by Entergy to donate that thermal imaging camera to the Fire Academy, where it's now being used to train fire departments across the state. Multiple fire departments, including Vernon Fire, had contacted Entergy to request a thermal imaging camera, but they were already allocated. The equipment available for donation was gathered together, and a number of departments were invited to come and share in the distribution. Those departments were on the mutual aid run card to provide assistance to Vernon and VY as required. So those towns that come to Vernon are the towns that were invited for that distribution. And Vernon did participate in that event. So there was some questions before about Todd not being aware that a thermal imaging camera had been donated, and you had seen an article. And so the facts are, those are both true statements. It just didn't appear, you guys didn't know there was 2 thermal imaging cameras involved.
Yep, thank you.
So the second is, I'm hoping to give you as clear a picture as I can of the Vernon Fire Association. And it's noteworthy because the warning, the agenda describes it as the Vernon Fire Department Association. And I think that's part of the confusion here, okay?
Say that again, I'm
It's-
sorry.
The agenda says Vernon Fire Department Association.
That's not what it is?
It's not, it's Vernon Fire Association.
Vernon Fire Association.
We call it VFAI, Vernon Fire Association, Inc., but it's the association. So some history here. The Fire Association was formally formed, bylaws signed on November 5th, 2009. There was a couple of precipitating events that led us to investigate, a couple of people to investigate and form VFAI. The first was the town treasurer's office had adopted, as you know, they have FASB rules, Financial Accounting Standard Board rules, and they adopted a new set of rules in keeping up with the rule changes. And those rules required that all fundraising gains from individual departments in the town go to the general fund and could not be spent by the individual towns. Prior to that, fire department raised a couple $100. They overspent their budget by a couple $100. So that prevented any fundraising that the fire department did from going back to benefit the fire department. And there was no way around that. That's noteworthy because one of the comments at the last meeting, I think the question was asked was, what if the fire association didn't exist? And the answer was, well, then the monies that the fire department raised would be used to purchase a thermal imaging camera. I don't know what the rules are now in the town, but in 2009, the rules prohibited that. There was a second issue that came up, and that's that a number of people in the fire department had worked a couple $100 hours and had gotten a federal firefighter grant for $120,000 with no matching money, no copay. But it required, in order to expend those funds, we had to have some changes made to some of the, well, I think we had to have a new ordinance changed and some other things in town. And without getting into politics or finger pointing, because it's water well over the dam, the decision by the select board was made not to do that, and so we had no choice but to return those monies. When we spoke to the grant coordinator, I guess, that we were dealing with the federal government, they indicated that a number of departments have independent associations or mutual aid groups that can work as an umbrella organization and can independently receive those grants and then disperse them accordingly. So all this came together, we said, maybe an association makes sense. So Vernon Fire Association was formed under the Vermont Nonprofit Corporation Act. As such, we are nonprofit and we're nonpartisan. We are a registered nonprofit corporation in the state of Vermont, organized as a public benefit nonprofit corporation, if you care, under Title 11B VSA, Section 3.01. We're also, we cleared a huge hurdle back then. We became an exempt organization under the Internal Revenue Service rules. We are a 501c3. So donations that come to us are tax deductible by the federal rules. Most importantly, we are wholly independent of and not beholden to any entity or organization, including the town of Vernon or, noteworthy, the Vernon Fire Department. This is an independent organization. There are no members of the Fire Association. There are 5 to 6 board directors, and that's it. So the purpose, VFAI was formed to raise funds by soliciting grants and donations anywhere we could get them from, and then to disperse those funds as charitable support to emergency services in Vernon and the surrounding region. We have 5 to 6 directors who over the years have been mostly but not always present or former members of Vernon Fire Department. Our directors are not paid. Our bylaws and conflict of interest policies prohibit any personal gains. It's important to understand the process by which Vernon Fire Association makes disbursements. Organizations make their requests to us. We meet, we discuss the merits of the request and our abilities to meet the need, and we respond accordingly. We do not keep large sums of money in the bank. Money in, money out. Excuse me. We also serve from time to time as a pass-through organization, assisting other groups in securing grants. We receive the funds and pass them through to the appropriate organization. Get a grant on someone else's behalf, pass the money to them in compliance with all the appropriate laws. Since our founding at the end of 2009, we've raised funds and made grants for a number of organizations that benefit the town of Vernon. We also have supported efforts at other service agencies in the region, including the Northfield Dive Team, Rescue Inc., Tech Rescue Team, the Dummerston Fire Department, the Florida, Massachusetts Volunteer Fire Department, and most recently, the Brattleboro Retreat 2016 Ride for Heroes for the Retreat's Uniform Services Program. Some of our most noteworthy projects, and as we go through these will all start to ring bells in your head, that we either funded entirely or in part. The new SCBA cascade and compressor at the fire station, the new generator at the fire station and all the wiring and to renovate the electrical system in the building, the removal of the old tower and the antennas on the fire station roof and the replacement self-supporting tower that's in the back. We purchased a carbon monoxide pulse oximeter. The energy efficient split duct air conditioner to get rid of that old loud energy hog that was down there. The Class A uniforms, work jackets, the kitchen renovations, the bathroom renovations, the addition of the firehouse with a lower bay. We purchased 2 sets of adult turnout gear. We replaced the front door, which was falling apart, was a security issue. The flat screen TV, the handheld atmospheric gas analyzers in the testing station, fire helmets for the explorers, the portable dump tank that's now used on Tanker 1, the dinnerware, the cookware, the silverware, the popcorn and cotton candy machines for the kitchen, the front-mounted winch for the brush truck, the video scope to assist in difficult extrications. That was a result of the fatal, eventually fatal accident in front of the Union Church. And with that, we purchased a video scope for both Vernon and one for Brattleboro, which was the primary rescue group. We assisted with the replacement boiler. We purchased 3 sets, I think, of Explorer turnout gear. The new tables, the new chairs, the new PA system, gas cards for the volunteers, the Halloween party, and most recently, the money starts at thermal imaging camera. In the roughly 7 years that VFAI has existed, we have had mostly lean years, but a couple of rich years, and we've done very well. We've dispersed $15,000 in pass-through grants, and so far we've dispersed over $101,000 for projects. It's worth mentioning that the many efforts taken by the Vernon Fire Department at community events. VFAI has underwritten the upfront costs of supplies of these events. There isn't really much actual cash profit in these endeavors. The value we bring is in building community spirit, which we feel is immense. Anyone who has attended a breakfast or a dinner or a Halloween party at the Vernon Fire Station or had a burger or cotton candy at the town picnic, they understand this. I think that the volunteers at Vernon Fire Department are the true heroes here. They donate their time at these events after serving the town at all hours of the day and night, doing whatever they can to ease our pain and suffering in our times of need. Vernon Fire Association is proud to support all the volunteers in Vernon and the surrounding area through our efforts. I hope that presents a clearer picture. We have tried our best to, well, I think we've got a perfect record of not getting involved in town politics. It's prohibited by our nonprofit status in the state of Vermont. We just stay off to the side, shake the money tree, find a need, and fill it.
You had mentioned to me the other day something about me asking questions to Todd about the association, and that I couldn't ask. Would you explain that to the board?
This is
Kind of what you meant, you know what I mean?
This is, and I have to make clear here, this is my personal opinion that I'm speaking. I'm not speaking now on behalf of the Fire Association.
Right.
If the fire department has a need for something that is, if you look at that list, a lot of what we purchased was stuff that would not probably be in the best interest for the fire department to come ask the townspeople for money for. It's not directly in their mission, okay? Some of it obviously is direct there in his benefit. The town was short on cash and we helped get it over the line. It was my opinion that if the town needed funds for a thermal imaging camera because the other one had died, the motion should have been to replace it for the purchase amount. And then if the chief was to go to the Fire Association and receive a grant for offsetting costs, which we do a number of times, then that money would have come forth. I think it kind of put them in a bit of a spot to say, okay, well, we know we have this need, we have to fill this need right now. If you can get $2,000 from the association, then you're approved, otherwise, come back in a couple of weeks, we'll talk about this again.
I believe that Todd said that he could get 2,000. He implied that he could get that prior to us even making a motion, so
Yeah,
I mean,
I looked at the tape and it was awkward both
it
ways.
was kind of
around.
awkward,
Yeah.
yes.
But that was part of why I felt it was important for you guys to come and understand how the process in the, my words, in the perfect world work here. I don't think that we would make a motion for some other organization in town to, provided you can find some money, we'll get you the rest of it.
I don't think we meant anything by that.
And I don't mean to imply by any means that there was. It seemed from looking at the tape that there just didn't seem to be a clear understanding on behalf of the select board as to the function of the association, what it does and how it works.
If
It's
I
like, well, the only way that we can resolve that is to come tell you guys exactly what
Right.
it is and how it works.
Absolutely.
And I
That's
think,
on us.
I
yeah,
appreciate that.
if
Go ahead,
I might just jump in here, I'm not familiar with how the fire association works. I was a member of a volunteer fire department in Newfane, but it seems different down here.
Yeah.
We asked Todd a number of questions. Is he actually part of the loop for this fire association, or is he
That's where
excluded
he's
from?
kind of in a difficult pickle here, because since 2009, every person who has been either chief or assistant chief has also served as a member of the fire association. And that's always difficult when you wear two hats, right? It's like being
But I
on the
mean,
rec
he is
board
familiar with the
and
function
being on the
of
select
the-
board, which hat are you wearing?
Or he is familiar, or,
Todd has been,
Okay.
actually, Todd is the most faithful member we have.
good.
He's been on since day one.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's been right at the core of this
Yeah.
and fighting hard to keep this thing afloat.
Right. Well, I think certainly my goal during that last meeting was to look at, what monies were needed, and obviously the town didn't budget for a camera this year, and so it would have to come out of emergency funds, and I thought that the motion we made was reasonable.
It
And
all
it
ends well.
didn't
did.
impress me as being something contraindicated, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this isn't,
I wasn't aware of the
I wanna
special
make certain
nature
in
of
coming here that
this.
this wasn't a negative meeting. This was intended to,
Right,
something that the association probably is lacking of having done for a number of years, and that's to enlighten the board
yeah,
on this
Yeah.
independent group in town and exactly what it does
When the
and how
boards
it functions.
change, the understanding of such
Oh, yeah.
changes as well, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It doesn't go
yeah, and
forward.
I have never been a member of this fire department, mostly because of my age and infirmities, but,
Well, Steve, it's fair to say that there are members of the fire department who don't understand the way the fire association works.
oh, okay.
There's also members of the fire association who don't understand the governance of Rescue Inc.
Right,
You know, same thing, they don't really either know one in
Yeah.
order to understand the other.
okay.
There's forms that the public can ask for copies of, correct, of the association, like the Form 1023, stuff like that, 990, and, I mean, that's, because that's open to the public, correct, or is it not?
I believe what you're asking is for the public members to determine where is our money going and where is our money coming from.
Right,
With larger
right,
corporations.
right,
Our legal responsibility is to answer any questions that come from the Secretary of State's office or from the Internal Revenue Service. Beyond that, we have a annual filing with the Secretary of State's office and with the Internal Revenue Service. However, for exempt organizations that have, normally on a year-to-year basis, have revenues of less than $25,000, the rule is that there's no financial information provided, it's simply an acknowledgement form that says, we're still here, and we're still in compliance, and a certification form that says that we're below that threshold for reporting.
No.
It's de minimis, the IRS doesn't wanna be bothered with it.
Mhm.
And we've made a point, over the years of not identifying, specific donors. That's,
I don't think you have to do that.
we don't have to, and that's.
And I
pretty
would
much
never
been
ask for
requested.
that.
Right.
But, you know, or I don't believe, maybe the public would and don't know it. This is why I'm asking these questions for the public. Should they ask for something like that Form 1023 or 990?
We don't fill out a Form 23 at 990. We fill out, I think it's called a 990N or something like that. It used to be a P. It used to be a postcard, and now it's an electronic filing that says, yeah, we're there, but we're not.
And that would just explain to somebody, you know, what the amounts that came in and who you helped and stuff like that, like you just
Right.
told
Now,
us,
if-
correct?
If we went off and received a grant that was significantly above 25,000, and put our average above, that triggers us up to a higher reporting level.
Right,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think what I'm hearing is we don't, nor does the public have any kind of legal right to get any of this information.
no, and
It's
that's
simply
what I,
whether the excuse me, to get this right here, the Fire Association Incorporated would want to give that out. but
Right, and
they
that's
don't-
why-
They're not required to, nor have they in the past. And frankly, I don't necessarily need to know, as a select board member, especially given your special status. I just wasn't aware that you were sitting in this special status.
Right.
And I guess, you know, going forward into the future, certainly I will be much more careful about parsing my words with regards to anything that comes before the board. To, number one, make sure that I understand whether it's the fire department or the Fire Association Incorporated that we're talking to. And then, which then, you know, it gets tricky because you've got someone here as the fire chief who's also a member of the association. But the other thing too is essentially we pretty much don't have, shouldn't have
No.
the expectation that we're gonna get any help from them at all.
right, no, exactly, I agree.
So I'm all set with that.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
just want,
noteworthy
I
that
think
a
it's
number of
very
departments
important.
actually have a association, which is part of, it's almost like an auxiliary. It is part of that department and
Yes.
is accountable to the town
Right.
Right.
for those fundraising things.
But that is different here in Vernon.
We're different,
right?
just as you know well from years past, there's fire company structures versus
Right.
fire department
Right.
structures.
Right.
And when we dissolved the fire company years ago, we made it a chief strong fire department,
Right.
yeah.
I just, my point in asking is that, I personally think, that it's important that people hear that the good things that you have done, or this association has done, to either our department or other departments.
We've,
So that's,
yeah, we've by intention have not, we chose early on to not do press releases and not to do publicity sort of things. It was quiet on the side, find money, fill holes. Find money, fill holes.
well,
And that's what we've done.
I just have a quick question as far as the association goes. When you do, I mean, hearing this is all brand new to me about how that actually internally functions. When you do the fundraisers such as Town Picnic, I guess, I hope a lot of people watch this so they understand that, you know, the money that they're donating or, you know, doing
Right.
for a fundraiser is potentially not coming back to Vernon.
Right.
And I would wonder if the association would consider having some sort of set aside account or something for those folks that do wanna donate to you, but wanna ensure that it goes to Vernon and Vernon only.
Good point. We have had people who've made specific, I guess earmark would be the word to use, where it's either a particular project, you know, specifically for explorers, or specifically for Vernon, or the Northfield Dive Team, or for, you know, same thing with the pass-through funds. When we've had issues that are fundraising involved with the town of Vernon, we've done our best to make sure that people understand this is not fire department fundraising, this is fire association fundraising.
Yeah,
But-
I think you've done a good job at that, but
Well,
the
yes,
people in
but-
town don't understand the
Yes, they
difference.
don't.
Exactly, I mean, your fire department, fire association, most people don't make
Yeah,
the distinction.
they hear Vernon Fire Association and they're like, oh yeah, all the money goes to the Vernon Fire Department, which is
And-
not necessarily the case.
Right, if I was to do a quick breakdown of the 101,000 that we've set aside so far, I would say between 90 and 95% of that has been to Vernon.
I was gonna say, from what you
Yeah.
were reading, it was all you know, the majority of it was Vernon related, so
Yeah.
that's a good thing in my opinion, but.
And that's part of our intention is, once you publicize and advertise an agency like this exists, you'll start having to say no to a lot more outside entities, you know? So we hear about groups usually from other departments about some specific fundraising need that they have, and then we fill it.
Emily, do you have anything you'd like to ask? Anybody else? Thank you, Kate, very much. It helps a lot to understand and know what's going on.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Good night and thank you. Mary Lynn? Come on up, please, to the table where the spotlight is on you and you only. Hello. So what would you like to ask of this wonderful board of ours?
I would like to, again, put up the POW MIA display. The POW MIA Recognition Day is the third Friday of September, which is the 16th, but of course, buildings closed. But I would like to put it up for several days, not just for a day, if we can do that. In the foyer, probably over, there's only one spot to put it. Last year I did ask permission, but I didn't end up putting it up because there was not any room up there to do that.
Well, now everybody's got a little section here and a little section there,
Right.
so now there should be one section that's kind of open there on the,
Right,
yeah, on the
and I would
left.
like just for that to be there, so there's,
Yep,
and nothing
so
else.
nothing distracts.
And nothing else there to have significant honor and recognition.
So, then am I led to believe that a motion, to allow Mary Lynn to, put up that POW MIA display, recognition display, in that, I don't know what corner it is, but the one corner, and that be the only display in that area for how long? A week? Two? What? Whatever the pleasure of the board is. How's that sound? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm quite fine with it, and in fact, as far as a limitation on the time it's there, I mean, I think it's always good to remember people, whether it's that
Amen,
several,
I
3
believe that
days
too.
or longer period.
Very
So I
strong.
don't know that I would put a time limit on it, it'd be up to you, your pleasure as to when you want it. There's nothing else going on in that corner, and I think that it would
And
be
we
a
will
good.
restrict anything going on while
Right,
we're displaying.
exactly, right, and I
Okay.
think that it's a nice counterpoint to whatever.
Yeah,
So I would move, excuse me.
go ahead, Josh, want to say anything?
Nope.
Emily? All right, go.
I would move that we authorize Marilyn Sherlin to put up this display in the lobby of the town offices for the POW recognition, and to ensure that it's in place on the third Friday of September, and to have it up as long as it's deemed appropriate by you or your committee.
Any more discussion on that? Anybody from the audience?
Can I just mention something? Can we just check with Cindy and Kevin to make sure that our insurance is, I mean, you're not getting on a ladder and hammering into
No,
the wall. or-
it's just, it's a table
It's just,
and
okay,
a couple of
just-
flags.
that was all I
and-
wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, no.
Okay, no more discussion. Motion's been made and seconded to whatever he said, and I'm not gonna repeat it, because I won't get it right. But you have it right, Michelle?
She's busy writing.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And thank you very much, Mary Lynn, for doing that. And honoring these men and women. All right, now we'll get to open public comments. Anybody have anything? Rana?
I do, but I'll wait till
You sure
the
you wanna
appropriate
wait?
time in the agenda.
Okay. All right, then library, Janice Pereira, here. Come on up here.
We have a handout that will help explain a little bit more what we have. As we say, take one and pass it on.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think we could replace all the furniture, it'd be nice, but
Yeah.
I'm tempted to bring my own.
We're here to let you know that we have the opportunity, has come up for us to get a video conferencing equipment at no cost from the Department of Libraries because we're part of the Fiber Connect project. It would be a 55-inch TV, laptop, manuals, free training, and it'll have many uses, as you can see from this handout. One of the, I don't even know if it's, let me look at this again. What's great about the conferencing is that people who like need to talk to a doctor, or if they have to travel out of state, they could be using it, you know, to get information. On one of the other towns that has it, they've had in the last 2 years they've had it, it's been used 67 times. But the best part for us is that it's free. And anybody could use it. We all even could use it in the wintertime for movies, like the rec used to do movies in the summertime. But, of course, our challenge is the room. And we know that the town office was built from reading, for that one time the library was gonna be using the downstairs also. And we would just like to know if this would be the main room next to the sheriff's office. If we have the stairs that have been closed off, remember the stairs in the library?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You have a little room there as it is,
Well,
as you use for storage rooms, right? Yeah.
excuse me?
I said, there is a room down there.
Oh, I'm not talking about storage, I was talking about the stairway that's closed off now, that's
Right,
up in the library.
that goes into the library, am I
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
I mean, into the storage downstairs, right? It doesn't,
No, it's just a separate stairwell that comes down in this corner. The way, our storage is in a separate closet. Okay. And
the
we would like
stairs to
to,
nowhere then.
what?
The stairs to nowhere.
Right now, they're not even, they don't really exist if you don't
Exactly.
remember them. But we would like permission to move our children's library downstairs to the room and also with our free video conferencing materials that we would get free. We were asking at one time for money so that we could start to put aside to do that, but using the room would just make all the difference in the world. And it's got a tile floor, so like when we had the children's summer program, we were in a line because there was no room upstairs. And then we have carpet, we don't want food being on it where this floor isn't like that. So I'll be quiet if you have any questions, or anybody else.
So
Yes.
what your question is, because you started out with equipment that if it's given to you free, then we don't have anything to do with it. But are you asking because you want to use this big room down here to move part of the
children's-
library downstairs
Yes,
into that great big room in there?
yes, the children's library, yes.
Any questions?
I have a couple questions. In terms of logistics, that room is also used like during voting. It's used for meetings on, I know at least the planning commission meets there now. There's an activity going on down there now, actually. How do you propose to maintain all of your children's materials down there in I guess, an orderly and protected fashion with all of the stuff that actually does go on there now? Or are you proposing that no longer go on there?
Yes, that's what we're proposing.
You're proposing that we curtail all the rest of the activities just to have your
Not-
Well,
children's
not
library?
Well, our hope is that we would be allowed to use, the forward space, in the room there, and then the space out here that's toward the back of the building
So
It used to
both
be the
these
children's.
rooms.
would be able to be used for
the
you know,
other things.
meetings and activities
Oh,
and voting.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, I know, for instance, that
We need that room
you've
out
been
there.
here certainly for voting, and
Yeah, right.
we
Right,
take
it
a
certainly
good
has
portion
been.
of that room up right now with voting. The other thing, I'm sort of puzzled is how the traffic flow works, because the only way, like down to this room and to the other rooms here is that stairwell. I mean, I've been down those stairs there, and they remind me of the attic in my grandmother's
Oh,
house,
well,
if you know what I
we
mean.
wouldn't stop anyone going,
I know, but so how do you propose to keep your materials? I mean, you're not just gonna have them spread out along the wall there, are you, or?
You know,
how do you
they're
plan to-
actually,
Are you planning to build walls and doors and that kind of thing, or what? How do you plan to
well,
keep
first,
this
our
all
goal
separated?
initially was just to alert the select board and let them know that we qualify for this
That's very nice, yeah, I
this
understand
video-
that,
yeah,
and that's a
video
lovely thing, right,
conferencing.
yeah.
Equipment, and then the goal would be to be able to move the children's section downstairs and open up in that back corner of that room there is a door,
You mean where the piano is,
yeah,
yeah,
back in that corner.
right.
You don't see it all, hardly ever, it's, there's just
Yeah.
junk in that stairwell now.
Oh, I have never been in there, actually.
Well, there's a room there too, and it's full of, it used to be full of boxes of books and stuff like that. I don't know what it's full of now.
Well, yeah, the library also has a separate room, you're
Yeah.
right, Chris, for
I think
storage, but there's a
Yeah.
stairwell that's unused that was constructed for that purpose,
Sure.
that
well,
upstairs in the
Is
children's
it like a
section.
stairwell like this
oh,
here?
no, no, no,
No,
no,
no, no.
no, it's decent.
Oh, it is,
Go ahead.
okay.
Ronna.
It parallels the stairwell that goes to the town office. There's another one that's been, the floor's been put over it
Oh.
under the children's
I see, okay.
area
Yeah.
upstairs. And that stairwell
Yeah.
comes down on that side in the big room. In
Yeah.
fact, last week, I just was curious to open the door, and it opened, and there's a whole bunch of preschool stuff that they've left behind. It's
I
just
see.
blocked.
Oh, yeah.
And it,
Can't
you know,
even
it's
get the
just
door
there.
open.
That's separate
Sorry.
from the storage room that the
Right.
library has.
The other question, following along what you're talking about, I recall you folks saying when you were in your previous time that you always maintain now 2 people in the library upstairs. Would this additional room require you to add to your staff by, I mean, especially a children's area, you would leave that unmonitored? Or one of those people from upstairs would be downstairs, or how would that work?
We're excited about the fact that
Ex-
we're gonna be getting more volunteers.
Oh, okay, this would be covered by volunteers, yeah. all right.
Well, no,
The children's librarian would be located downstairs in the children's library.
and
and then
Jean
we're-
Carr would be
Um,
there.
Right, I know,
just
but
think
you
that's
said
an
that,
awful room for-
based on what you had for, I recall
Right.
someone telling us here at the board meeting that there was enough activity going on upstairs that you needed 2 people, not one at all times. When I was this child here in Vernon, we had 1 librarian.
It's a
But
recommendation.
nowadays, we have more than
It
that.
is a recommendation for the from the Vermont Department of Libraries for the safety of the personnel.
Right, I understand that, but in other words, is that gonna work with 1 down and 1 up and you don't even see each other?
Well, to be honest, I don't think, we haven't thought that far ahead.
Okay, well, these are just questions that come
Good
up.
question.
when I'm
Yeah,
sitting here.
Excellent question.
I personally think that this room has been a meeting room forever, and there's so much activity, and the room's used by so many committees and other things. I have a hard time with that, but
Well,
anybody
Yeah,
else?
just one more concern, we don't really
Yeah.
have any other space here in
No,
the
we
town
don't.
office building of that size.
Right,
In other words, like, I've seen even this meeting overflow, we've, had to set up
we
down
have
there.
to, we have to
When we've
use
had
that
hearings
quite
for the
frequently.
planning commission, the same thing, well,
Right.
at any rate.
Josh?
I guess my question would kind of be directed towards Mark, is the police department takes up that corner of the building. You're walking in and out of the children's library on a regular basis, what's,
I am not familiar with where the staircase comes out, but I have a guess based on what you've described. where the seniors room currently is, does it come out of that wall?
You know where the gun closet is?
Yes.
If you come out of your office and the gun closet's on your left, keep going into the corner. There's a
It's
door
that
there.
door right there.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a stairwell.
So, I guess to answer your question, it wouldn't be much of a change in terms of our operations than when the preschool was down on this end. My concern would ultimately be the security of the equipment, because there's a ton of people who come through this area. There's numerous, not only the committees that have meetings within the area, but also you have a lot of people who come in every Friday. There's a fitness class that's conducted in the mornings. Girl Scouts come in, so there's a lot of traffic, and sometimes that's uncontrolled and unrestricted traffic. There's certain people who have keys. So my concern would ultimately be, were the town to go forward with this, that equipment be secured, because I don't wanna see it get stolen and we have to investigate that. It's self-serving.
Yeah, you caused me
Thank
too
you.
much work.
Can I, one thing that has occurred to us is that maybe keeping the video equipment upstairs and just moving the children's downstairs in the corner. And, you know, even like, we're thinking, well, when the seniors have their luncheons, maybe we would have them read to some of the kids that are going to the library at that time. That might be a really nice connection for the seniors, and, you know, we're just throwing things out and just trying to
Well,
get
the seniors
information.
meet out that room, so they're gonna share it with the
There's only like
children?
about 15 of them, and we thought, well, they have this big empty room right there.
Yeah, they don't use that room very often. Go ahead, Emily, do you have anything?
Well, I think it's fantastic, I mean, the video conferencing equipment,
Me too.
but, I'm kind of in agreement, I think that the space downstairs is used too much, to move all of, you know, for everything that is used, to ask that to get changed, and I don't know, maybe, I don't have young kids that use the children's library, but I would think as a parent that, I would wanna be doing, if the kids are doing an activity in the library and I was off kind of doing, I don't know, maybe the parents and the children together at the same time?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like the
No.
parents are off in a
Right,
chair, you know, reading, okay. All right, well then that negates that thought.
Wow.
But I think
always.
there's too much activity, I think there's too much use, in the downstairs of this building to be able to give that up to the children's library.
I would just make one other point too. Although it's well sealed, you have to also remember this tile out here is asbestos laden. And so you want to be sure that any activities you have don't scuff that up too much. You are aware of that, right? You're looking
I personally
puzzled.
was not aware of that, so thank you
What's
for
that?
bringing, I was not, personally
Yes,
was not
they, in
aware of
fact,
that.
we had to have a hazmat team in here when they came in to
So
tear
thank
the
you for
floor out
raising
in
that
the
issue
police
as well.
department, yeah. Because that tile out there is, 1970, and it's asbestos laden. I mean, if they don't scuff it up too bad, it's not an issue, but you do have to keep that in mind for any kind of significant activities, certainly. I know also Kevin spends gobs of time keeping this floor up, and I would want to also assess expansion of that, especially a children's area, what that's going to do to his workload, because I think that would have an impact on,
It
what
would
has
have
to
a
be done with the.
severe impact
with the,
on the whole building and.
These are all things that we
Yeah.
need to weigh. I'm not saying that I'm totally opposed to it, but I do think all these questions need to be laid out. I also would like to see a room layout, a diagram showing like where the children's stuff is gonna be, a pathway to get through the select board meeting room, how that's all gonna work. Are you gonna have like fences and gates up or just wide open and that kind of thing? Because I think it's important to know ahead of time
Good
how
point.
how you plan to keep these areas discreet. That would be my feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good, project or homework to do, to get it so that maybe when, we won't make a decision today. We could maybe be swayed another way if you come back with something a little bit more or different.
Well, I thi-
Somehow because that room is used for voting, it takes up the whole thing. We'd have to move everything away, you can't just utilize that for yourselves and keep it, as, oh, you can't use this room anymore because we need it, you know?
I think regardless of the layout, you still run into that issue.
I think you
Well,
would,
and
but I mean, maybe they could
And I
come up
hate
with
to
something
make people
different.
run around and here, do a layout, do this, do that, and you just.
Well, that's true.
Wait, we still need it for elections regardless of what your layout is, we still need it for Friday exercise class, we still need it for Girl Scouts, we still need it for seniors.
I know.
I had one other question to ask too. Currently, the children's section is upstairs in the library. What sort of physical space, how many square feet does that encompass now? Yeah, where the kids are now. I mean, does anyone know? Is it like,
It's on this
Probably
side of
no.
that beam, but I don't think it's quite, and it's not quite this long.
okay,
Because
so it's
we have
essentially
so
that,
many-
that square
Probably
What
there?
about
Yeah.
that?
300 square feet,
What?
because
I mean,
it's
what about
about,
that room? I mean, I know we use
what'd
it
you
for,
say, 2 or
Well,
to
300?
eat in and stuff.
I mean,
We were gonna cut it in half for
That's
storage.
the Elmhurst room.
But we didn't,
We haven't named it yet, but we should.
I have it in my mind,
we
okay.
also haven't totally ruled out the fact that we might need that for storage either. Weren't we kind of waiting for
Yes.
Tim to settle in and
Yes.
get acquainted with all the documents and then make that determination as to whether or
True.
not we needed it for
Yes.
storage? So I don't think we can offer that until Tim makes a decision.
Well, we can't offer anything down
Well,
here yet.
right, no, I know,
Yes.
but I think, you know,
It's
I mean,
basically too small.
it was kind of spoken for as far as storage, we put that on the back burner with the changeover in town clerks, and I think we need to, I mean, if there's a request for its use in another area, then we probably wanna ask him to kind of make that decision, that determination sooner rather than
We-
later.
We're excited about getting this video conferencing equipment. We're thinking of the future. There are towns in Vermont that use it to, for UVM extension classes, and, you know, that takes like 50, 60 people. So, I forget the name of it, Cowley or something? And they're planning on some more classes that way. We're thinking of the future, and so my question would be, where else could we put that equipment? If, you know, we're saying, you're saying we cannot, or you're thinking, if you say we cannot, where else can we put it? It's, because you know, the planning commission is looking forward to the future,
Yeah.
and we would, and the fiber optics subcommittee is part of that process.
Well,
I mean-
if I might respond, Bronna, this list of things that I see here is not a huge, I mean, as far as space taking up, this here could be put into a cabinet with wheels on it that could be locked up in the corner and then opened up when used, right? Is that what, or am I missing something?
For the 55
Is that this
inch,
here?
well,
Well, a
flat
cabinet 50,
screen.
60 inches wide, I don't know, you know.
But, you know, people can, they take classes, you know, through UVM online. They can go home and do it too. I mean, it's not like, but I get it. This is really awesome.
Well, thank you, Chris, and that's an excellent point. We're just trying to, again, also think of the future and the positive energy that's going on in town now with the VCRD subcommittees, you know, the town center planning committee, for example,
Right.
are interested in talking with us about this.
But I like that idea of a cabinet. and
Well, yeah, no, but see, that would also lend to the security of this equipment, because this stuff is expensive. And we
Well-
certainly don't want it walking out the door.
Right.
And I'm not saying anyone would, but of course, we have had a few
At the end of that
issues.
stairwell, there used to be a space there. What happened to that space? Is it so filled with boxes of books, or did you
I
empty it?
haven't opened it, but I'm gonna peek on the way out.
Yeah, I would, because, you know, you could store it in there and then roll it out or whatever, no, why?
Pretty much the stairs come pretty much to the bottom.
And I can remember helping you guys with books one time, and that thing was so full of boxes that, I mean,
That's two different
They're two different stairwells.
areas.
okay, but I'm saying you could use that to store that thing and roll it out
Yeah, I
you
don't
know,
see, I think this is a wonderful idea.
for
The only
classes.
thing
I love this idea.
I'm not sure how, you mentioned something about people meta-conferencing. I'm not sure how public that most people would want that
It
to
would be at night.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know,
So
it's,
that would be
you'd need more of
perfect
an
place.
enclosed space, it seems to me, for, if you're gonna discuss your medical issues with your doctor. Wouldn't you think so?
I think what Chris had
Yeah.
mentioned, just in passing, because
I would.
this is just all so new,
Yeah,
was, they'd be open when the library is closed, to have them set it
I
up in
see.
the morning,
I see,
when the library
yes,
is closed
okay,
and there
sure.
aren't people, or,
yeah, that's
you know, a
something we
little
can come by
after
and turn
six,
it on.
according if you had to call someone in
Yeah,
another.
I think we could get a
time
much
zone.
better feel for this with a little more flesh on the bones. I
Thank
don't
you.
mean to my
Great.
degree, but I'm talking about, you know, a little more structure.
Okay.
And actually too, if you had any estimates as to, because there probably will be additional costs in terms of, well, just, I mean, even if the wiring and the so forth is insufficient down here.
$200 or $300 for the Ethernet connection, and the wires already are under the
Right.
library.
But I'm just saying, you know, what, you might wanna look at the big picture and say, okay, we're gonna need lighting here, we're gonna need this there, and I don't know, but these are questions certainly that I will ask before we actually take a vote on it.
Okay, thank you for your time,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you, yeah,
Yeah, we're glad to bring this forward to you.
Yeah,
and
that's-
Yeah, I'm excited for you, for your new
Thank you.
equipment.
I think at this point,
And get some money for some chairs so you don't hold the
Sorry.
wall when you sit down.
this one is
Is it
Oh,
just
there-
me?
no, it's bad.
Is that one?
It-
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
it's a
you.
broken spring. Yeah.
I'm not raising money for a stupid chair, throw it out. Yes, we're down for nothing.
repair it.
I'll put a stick under it,
She's put the board under it.
support the string with the stick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much, everyone. David Emery, EOC, update.
Oh, boy.
Hi, Stephen.
Oh, David.
Good evening,
Welcome,
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you. I will be as brief as possible,
Thank
but
you.
give you as much information as you want or need. First of all, I'll give you the update on the EOC and where all of that stands presently. Starting last July, what happened was I had conversations with Mike McKinney at Entergy, and obviously they are attempting to reduce their costs as they wind down. And so the EOC became a discussion. So over that period, what they're hoping to do is that we will pick up the operational costs. I sent an email, but I don't know if you get that, but don't worry, it's changed 3 times today.
No, I
So-
did, I got the second one. I killed a lot of trees for your little packet. Okay, so it's in that little packet with the, oh, that's this one?
Is it this one year?
Yes,
Yes, that has the extra
September
stuff on the
sixth.
back.
Say to September 6th, yeah.
Yes, very nice.
And that was probably the second one, and although there are changes to it since then, I guess the bottom line says there are still some things that are gonna be changing, and so I'll just give you an update where we are as of right now. And January 11th, 2010, this board signed an agreement with Vermont Yankee to occupy the Edson House for its EOC. However, they retained ownership and maintain it. And at this point, they're not throwing us out by any means. They're just asking us to pick up some of that. So talking with Mike, we came up with some estimates from the historic values of what they were spending. So I just made that an annual cost, and I'll just run down through it very quickly. The electric is about $600 a year. Fuel oil, I was fortunate to talk with Dave Andrews, and there's a contractor, evidently Vernon has a deal already going. And they offered to extend it to us at the EOC for the $1.60 per gallon. He's gonna provide a contract for us to do that.
okay.
Comcast, which is the Wi-Fi, is $1,200. There's many phone lines in there right now, and I'm suggesting we reduce it to 2 phone lines and a fax line. Excuse me. And that's about $1,400 a year, $1,450. Then I threw in there's a automatic generator with fuel. I threw in a ballpark figure of $1,000, and I think I'm way high on that. But I think most people are happy when you come back and say, oh, by the way, it's $500 versus coming back and saying, I need another 500. So I think it's way high. So then also what surfaced today was the sirens. And Vernon went into an agreement to maintain the 3 sirens. That was in December 7th, 2015. So those 3 sirens are there, and at the present time, it's already in your budget somewhere to pay for electric at the Vernon pool at the rec center. And Vermont Yankee is paying the one at the plant, so the only one that we would have to pay the electric for is the one at the firehouse. However, that's different than operating at the EOC, so I don't wanna get that confused. But I'm trying to give you an overall picture. Siren maintenance, you also have an agreement or a budgeted item,
Yes.
$275 per siren for annual maintenance.
Is that biannual though?
I believe from what I could read, it's annual.
Okay.
And I would recommend annual would be more than enough to maintain those. So where we're at with all of that, for the EOC, it comes to about $5,370. And then when we add in the siren cost, it actually rises to about $6,500.
You mean 5730?
Well, it did,
But you're
Did-
taking
what-
something away.
right, 5730 is, right.
Okay,
Then adding in the other 2 from today, the siren maintenance, it comes to 6550. So, the moral of the story is, as you all know, Vermont Yankee and the state of Vermont have come to an agreement for a sum of money that is for emergency planning to the tune of about $600,000. And so I've been attempting to get a hold of someone in Waterbury and haven't been successful yet, although I know some of the people that I can lean on. So I'm pretty confident that at the end of the day, these costs will be absorbed by that money coming down. I really feel pretty confident of that. However, I'm not gonna sign that paper right now. So that's where we are on the EOC thing. On September 1st, I attempted to have a staff meeting with the EOC, which my really good typing fingers in my computer expertise, I sent out emails and obviously I didn't do very well. So
I didn't get one.
you didn't get one, and I
Just so you know,
apologize.
Josh.
I apologize to EOC staff because the only ones that got it was Dave and Josh. But we had a heck of a good meeting. And we didn't even fight. So with that, I am, and along with the 3 of us or the staff that was there, we're suggesting that we do maintain the EOC at the Governor Edson House, and that and if it is a 2-year commitment that Vermont Yankee has, and we get money from the state, that'll allow us time to investigate where we need to go and what is best for the town. At the least cost, obviously. So that'll give us some time to buy, because there's a ton of equipment in there that would have to be relocated. The siren activators, radios, and if you drive by, you'll see that there's 4 antennas on the roof, generators. Beds, there's a ton of stuff in there.
In that book that I gave you this evening of the stuff that I found, there is a document on that portable generator
Okay.
as well, so,
Okay.
just before I forget.
Thanks.
Also, do you think that the board should start a budget for you in our budget for this? Because maybe next year you won't be a part of that 600,000 or whatever. I know that we have an article that we asked for 15,000 from the town last year, which probably will continue with that. But for the operating expense, maybe that's something that we should have like a line item by line item budget.
I would absolutely
In the
agree.
select board's budget?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I would be happy to work with Michelle and try to provide.
Yeah,
a line
yes,
item
absolutely,
budget. Yeah.
because she's working with the department heads as we speak, as a matter of fact, on their budget, so
Yeah.
yes, if you could do that, is that okay
Makes
with
sense.
everybody? Yeah.
Yes.
Although
I think
I
that's
would
a-
say that, as long as there's ever an agreement with the state of Vermont and Vermont Yankee, that the town of Vernon should be well kept in
I
that
absolutely
loop.
agree, because we've been a good neighbor to them as well as they have been to us. And I just feel that they should take care of us,
Absolutely,
you
and,
know, we were the host town for many years and
and we still are.
absolutely are, and will be forever.
Yeah,
And the thing I worry about though with this 600,000 that's going to the state is, I may be wrong, but I certainly don't read a lot of generosity into some of the people that I've listened to at that level. So I think we should be aware that we may be taking this on, and I do support it, because I think this emergency center has functioned for other things than Vermont Yankee.
Absolutely, we
have
should
another-
be doing
We have another
that.
hazard going through town here that
Right.
we always need to be watchful. But, so I think it would be very wonderful if we could get the state to part with a few dollars, but I wouldn't certainly, plan on it right now, given what I've seen there.
Yeah, and that was
And I-
something that I always was interested in too, is getting other hazard stuff in there,
Well,
all
yes,
hazard
yes,
stuff, but
yes.
I never worked on it. And, but now we have David, and, I'm really settled in my own mind that it
sure,
finally will
yeah,
come to
yeah.
pass, because think of the railroad.
Well, it's.
I mean-
I know.
well, I would say to Stephen, I hear what you're saying, but I'm pretty confident
Are you?
that
Okay.
I'm,
Well,
in a
perhaps I was
position-
misreading something there.
No, I just feel that.
It didn't seem like the sharing was part of the lexicon, but.
He has a bigger gun.
Well, and he knows, in fairness, I don't know these people very well, and they will be the ones making the decision.
Yeah.
I would point out that I'm pretty sure that once Entergy signs the check over, they're gonna have no control over where it goes.
That's correct,
Yeah,
that's correct. However, there are line items in that, and
Yes,
the towns
all
were
right,
not
good.
exempt from
Good,
that. The
good,
towns are still in
that's
that.
good to hear, I didn't.
but as long as we
know
have
those
this year
things.
covered,
Yep,
I
Yeah.
think we're all set. Then if we do a
Do we
budget,
have enough in our funds somewhere for this coverage?
if he doesn't get this,
No, I'm saying, do we have enough
we
money to
have, we
pay
have,
for this?
we have places we could.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
Yes.
I'd wanna make sure that we.
I mean, we'd have to go through our budget, look and see, but we do have, we
Alright.
have our emergency budget, line item, our emergency, line item that we have and that we, yes, go ahead, please.
Perhaps I missed it, is there a time frame that VY is asking us to take this over?
yes, and it was July 1st.
2016?
Yeah, but dealing with Mike
Couple months
McKinney, unfortunately, it's more complicated than what you think. I mean, to change just the billing address over, and you probably all know that. It's hoops and hoops and hoops.
Yeah,
And right now,
exactly.
he and I have been going through the phone lines, trying to identify we're not even sure they're Fairpoint lines. So a lot of that, in our,
Boy.
so we will take care of doing that, and he's convinced that we can do it, and I'm sure we can. The other part is in the sad part of the whole thing, if we don't do that, or if we do leave the property, the plan is to shut off the power, turn off the heat, drain the pipes, and walk away.
Then, yeah.
They don't have intentions of selling or giving away or doing anything with the property at this point.
I had asked, a couple of times, a couple of people from VY, if maybe they wouldn't donate that. And then I was also on the tax committee, and talked with Corey out of Louisiana, and I directly asked him myself if, if that would be a building that they would consider donating to the town. I never got an answer, and I know that Patty O'Donnell really worked hard to try to get it as well. So, you know,
Well, I think that, at this point, there's no plans, cause they own other properties up through there,
Right.
so, up through Saluzinis.
Yeah.
So that's about it on the EOC. I'll give you a brief update of where we are and other things that are happening right now. The VY plan, if you will, is printed, and I'll be providing that to you all in the near future. But as just a brief overview, there's only two categories. One category is an unusual event, and the other category is an alert. Hello. The unusual event is just notification to the board, and there's no action required other than notification. The alert stage, however, will activate the whole EOC. And I won't bore you with all of those details, I'll just bring the group in that likes those boring details, and we'll educate those people. But that's all that you would be required to do, and when I get the copy to you, I'll make a notebook for you, so it'll be easy, I'll call it your smart book. So that you can just flip down through that. So we're doing that. Vermont Alert, if you're not familiar with that, we're gonna be doing more work to educate the public on Vermont Alert. You remember the old weather alert radios that came out, and there's actually some of them are not old, they're still new, but.
I still have some if somebody wants them.
And if there's anyone from town that wants a
Do
weather
you want
alert
them?
radio,
Stop at the house, I'm there.
they're excellent AM/FM radios, and they give you 24 hours of weather. So if you're planning a vacation or whatever. However, it's not gonna be used for notification of an event of Vermont Yankee. Vermont Alert is, and people need to sign up for that. In the past, what they signed up for was RENTS, R-E-N-T-S.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do, and I'm not sure it's happened yet, is everyone that was in that will just be converted over. So in the event that there is an issue at Vermont Yankee, it will just dial your cell phone, your home phone, or whatever you've elected, whatever you've put on it in the past. It will automatically do that. So I will be providing you and the public with far more information about the RENTS, the Vermont Alert program that the state's maintaining at no cost. The other part that I was going to mention, with Lieutenant Anderson, he and I have some brief discussions about working with the school to make sure that things are squared away with their active shooter and their evacuation programs for the school. So we will be following up to help them through any of those issues that is part of the emergency management program for the town. So I will be working with that. I talked with Dave, and we had some brief discussions about different avenues and what we could do for him, or what I could, maybe offer him. But we've got a long way to go. He's probably got a handle on the town far better than most people would ever realize. He knows where usually every drop of rain falls. And so I will be working with him as we do some flood hazard stuff.
You've embarrassed him, he's getting red over there.
Well, I like it because he sports the same haircut.
Yes, exactly.
And railroad is becoming far more challenging, because there's actually two people that use this. It's Amtrak as well as B&M and the cargo stuff.
Right.
So getting them to participate in the conversations is, well, let me connect you to. I'm pretty sure, and I will tell you that I haven't been successful with being connected yet. But I will continue to follow that path.
I'm not surprised.
And that's kind of where we are. I met with Vernon Fire and gave them an overview of where we are. I'm going to Vernon Green. I did stop down there and talk with them and help them. They have a tremendous evacuation fire plan that we will, help them keep that up to date. And they exercise that apparently fairly regular.
Annette, when Annette was EMT, I remember working you know, with Skip Sleeper,
Mhm.
yeah.
And he's still
With
there.
the
so.
awesome, is he?
Yeah.
Awesome
Um,
plan,
He's a
yep,
lifer.
so that's
Yes.
that's the
very
overview,
much so.
of where I am right now. I would sit here all night and talk to you about it, but I know you have other business. Do you have questions? Is there anything else?
Well, I don't
Steve?
have anything exactly with you, but are we, should we be putting a motion together to cover these costs tonight or
No,
not?
no, no,
Okay.
we're gonna wait and see if he needs that, then we will.
Oh,
I would like to think by next month, I will have.
okay, because I mean, if this thing was, they were hoping to have it signed by July 1st. It's a little late.
Yeah, he'll know for us, and if we need it, we can, we'll do it.
Good, good.
I guess what I would like to ask you for is, authorization to change that stuff over to the town. The phone lines, and everything that is gonna have the town's
definitely
name
do
on
that.
that. I guess I would like to have that as authorization.
So moved.
So second.
Any more discussion, do you have any more questions or anything?
No, I went to the meeting, I'm all set.
I know you got the email.
Well, I guess the thing I would point out, though, in terms of discussion, if we go ahead and authorize the turnover of these things, we're essentially picking up this budget.
Yes,
So we just need to be aware that that's, we're
that this could
committing,
come down the line.
committing funds, right, yeah.
Absolutely. You have anything that you'd like to ask, David? All right, motion's on the table, to, go ahead and authorize the turnover to the town of these, listed things, yeah. And it's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you,
So,
folks.
There's your turnover.
Okay, I will,
And thank you so much. You really are awesome. We appreciate it.
we got a lot of work, but we'll make it.
I know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, David.
Very important position. Thank you, David. Mr. Anderson or Lieutenant Anderson, please come forward. It's your turn in the hot chair.
As long as it's not the holy chair.
The holy
the
chair's
one is
right
over-
beside Steve.
It's right here.
Nobody wants to sit in that one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let anybody else sit
I'm
there.
gonna, maybe if somebody, let,
I can throw
what's
it
his
out.
name know, and we'll throw that out and maybe put another one up there.
Oh, is it the
Kevin,
chair? Is it
Kevin.
bad?
It is bad. It's a
The
bad
chair itself is
It's got a
bad.
hole,
Okay.
and when you sit in it, ask Janice, she was down to the floor there.
A ring,
Okay.
a ring copy?
Every single one, and I had to restaple it because the stapler kind of missed.
Wow. Is this a copy you're in this building?
It is, which I
Is
don't
this-
think I've met with you
is
since
this-
that
You have
whole
not
arrangement
met with
occurred,
us
so
for
on behalf
quite a
of the
while.
sheriff's office, thank you for working out that,
Yeah,
arrangement with
thank
it.
you for the wrinkled copy.
Yes, thanks.
I mean, there's something wrong with it.
It could just be paper, it just jams, sometimes
Oh.
humidity will affect it.
All right.
I've seen it on many copiers, many makes, so.
It wouldn't happen on my copy.
Okay, so, I guess the question is the coverage of the town.
Yes.
How is it going? We had, Officer Norton in here, Sergeant, is it? What is Sergeant Norton in here, and he was explaining, what the town could do to help themselves not get broken, because there were break-ins, happening, and protect themselves, and I think I probably said that. But I know that, I myself and maybe others have mentioned to me that maybe the coverage, what is the response time? The response time is getting less and less because of, is there something that's going on, or?
Maybe.
I'm just kind of throwing things out there and trying to get the conversation going as well.
So let me start at the beginning of what I was coming to talk about, and then I can answer any questions. I'm happy to.
Oh, you may have your
I was
own
gonna be
reasons
brief
why
with
you were
the
coming. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So my intention today was, based on our conversation, back in whatever month it was where we were talking about contracting, to give the town an update. What we're doing as far as coverage, are we going over or under budget as far as hours go? Is there any additional
Yes.
liability, financially for the town? So my intention today was to come talk about that. I'm happy to speak about the burglaries in terms of.
You don't have to, we already got the.
Oh, I know, I read Facebook too.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm happy to talk about those things. In terms of our actual coverage, the 20 hours, it's going pretty good so far. There's a couple learning things with some strategies we've tried. We're still learning. The documents I provided you, the first is our July monthly billing report, followed by our August monthly billing report. Based on 20 hours a day, both months should average about 620 hours. So if you look at the totals for both, we have 632 in the month of July and 646 in the month of August. Those still fall within our built-in
Right.
coverage. We are looking to try and structure the schedule so that it still comes on track with the 7,300 hours for the total year, so that we don't end up having to bill the town for the additional hours. At this point, there's nothing in here that we're currently billing the town for in addition to our standard agreement. Nothing that falls at the hourly rate.
You had said you were gonna try to work it in the whole year, contract year, correct?
Correct. So what it will mean is that there's going to be times where instead of, like, let's say, and this is purely hypothetical, but let's say next month, we say, okay, instead of doing 140 hours each week, we're gonna do 130 hours to try and bring some of this back in line. That will happen. So there's gonna be times where instead of being on for 20 hours a day, we're gonna be on for maybe 18 hours a day. So going into the question regarding response times, if we're not there, then that's going to increase response
I
times.
understand.
Because, again, we're trying to be mindful
I
of
wanted
the
to get
town's,
that out.
the town's budget. Our intention is not to have to implement the overtime clause. In fact, we think that it would not only behoove our relationship with the town, but we also think it would behoove the town not to have to pay additionally. We believe that's a manageable thing, and as of this point, there's been nothing significant that really catches my eye in terms of anything that has happened. The train hasn't derailed, because Dave's done a good job planning for that.
That's right, see?
So there's been no
Full
significant
circle.
event that has occurred to require a significant amount of manpower.
And Josh gets emails.
You get emails?
I do.
I didn't get the email, and I even
I
work
didn't
with
get
Dave,
the
so I'm kind of
email,
upset
so,
about
yeah,
that.
I'm upset about that too.
So the month of July was a bit of a learning curve, because we were basing data off of a very large swath of information, and obviously when you look at a more localized or centralized target, such as a single month instead of an entire year, you learn that each month has different ins and outs of when things are going to occur, different types of crimes occur, and so certainly the schedule will be affected. And what we originally hypothesized would be a very good schedule. We said, hey, maybe we need to change when our on-call times are, to structure around kids being out of school, parties occurring because it's summertime and people want to be out. So we are still working with that. It's more of an art than a science. But that was in part the overages for the month of July. And then in August, though nothing out of the ordinary, unfortunately there are some things that occur that certainly do increase investigatory time. Including we did have a death investigation that just occurred in town, and though nothing is in our investigation suggestive of anything of malfeasance, it still does require time to investigate and ensure, and there were some unique events. So ultimately what occurred with that, it required additional manpower, so that's part of the increase.
Excuse me.
And additionally, we had the burglaries, which, while most of those occurred or were reported during times that we had a deputy on duty, we also had multiple come in at the same time. And so we're dealing with one investigation. It's an option of either be quick and hit everybody as quick as you can and talk to each of the individual victims, or take the time with each individual victim, but each consecutive victim is now gonna be waiting a little bit longer because we wanna make sure that we document evidence that we think can be used in that investigation. So there are some difficulties in terms of structuring what manpower we do bring in and when we bring it in. But that's in part, the burglaries are in part, as well as the death investigation, the reason for the increase in the August hours as well. And then the final page, I included this because I wasn't sure. I thought we said that we would do this. This is the same information we put out on our Facebook page each week, but it's essentially just a summary of all the calls that we've had from July 1st through August 31st. It's the number that actually jumped out to me the most was the DUI number. We're down to 1 DUI, which
That's fantastic.
that I'm saying very happy things about that. I am also cautious in rejoicing at this moment because I also know that things are ebb and flow. So while I think that that's a positive sign and indicative of enforcement efforts that we've taken towards impaired driving, I also suspect that we will see it because that's just a general issue that occurs throughout the region. That was my spiel, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
I had one just quick. You have here under assist something or other motorist. What is the something or other? What is that?
You want the boring answer or the?
Oh, no, it looks like a code. It's probably an official code. I just want to.
It is absolutely official code. It is not our code. It is an encoding error. And
so it doesn't stand for anything?
it means nothing. It's supposed
So
to be
we can
dash.
just block it out. All right, thank you. All right, now that's
It's
good.
assist hashtag.
Is that called a
That's what they
hashtag?
do now.
No, that's, that's basically just, the printer interprets the
Oh, I
language from the
see.
computer
Okay,
differently.
Right.
So that's supposed to be the same hyphen as you see above it, but
Sure.
for whatever reason, it's not.
This 2 months period, July 1st through August 31st, certainly from what I've been hearing, the DUI seems to be down a bit, but how about some of these other things? Is there anything that's showing a market increase besides the burglaries?
It's a difficult thing to measure in a small sample,
Right.
simply because things like burglaries, we know that they occur in abundance.
Yeah,
We stop a
yeah.
ring,
Clumps,
they stop.
yeah, right, yeah.
We go 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, nothing, and
Yeah.
then we see a new ration
I
of them.
understand.
So it can be difficult to isolate it down to there is a marked increase or decrease.
Yeah.
I have noticed a marked increase in property watches. We have a lot of people calling asking for property watches when they go out of town,
Now,
which is obviously correlated to the burglaries occurring.
Oh, okay.
So
So that is what, like a drive-by on your part, or what is that?
we
Shut doors?
will check doors, windows,
Okay.
check for any abnormal activity, any signs of forced entry.
Okay.
If there's people on a premise that we don't think should be there, based on the information we received from the resident, we'll certainly inquire into
Right.
their presence and notify the homeowner. It's not uncommon that the daughter wanted to stop by and just check on the home because they knew mom was out of town. Mom didn't think to say, hey, my daughter's gonna be at my house too.
Oh, yeah.
So things like that do occur. We've had a couple, and again, with the same context as burglaries, we've had a little increase in mental health related issues. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're anything out of the ordinary, but they're also one of those things, and we've seen it throughout the county, that there's been a significant increase in mental health events during the summertime, which is, it's very common in the holiday months, that you see an increase in that. Depression starts to kick in with the winter months. So that's not an uncommon thing. So somewhat ancillary, but we have seen an increase there. Aside from that, I would say a lot of the things that I'm seeing here are fairly common. Maybe not on a monthly basis, but on a fairly consistent basis.
question, I don't know if you know the answer. I remember at some point reading that the fees and fines that you guys levy come back to town, right? Or a portion of them do or something?
Some,
Or
yes.
maybe it's the traffic violations or, I don't know.
It has to do, what I think you're referencing, is the fines that are dispersed by the Vermont Court Administrator's Office and the Vermont Judicial Bureau with regards to, I believe there's 33 different sections of law that the town can recuperate money from. What those sections are, I can't really tell you, because when I asked the question, I was told contact an attorney. So, there is actually, I mean, and there's some precedence to this, because back many years ago, City of Rutland and the Town of Rutland had a significant issue, because one, and I don't recall which, but one received several tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in ticket fine revenue that was supposed to go to the other. And so when the mistake was recognized, then they started spending lots of money on attorneys, and ultimately the state had to start spending the same amount of money. So that's why they're a little guarded on the information they want to say, because potentially they could be party to a lawsuit in which they could lose. So it's not a bad area for the town attorney to look into what things do and do not apply, and potentially Vermont League of Cities and Towns has already done this. They do have staff attorneys, and this is a question every town has. The ones that I do know that come directly back to the town, speeding violations written under Title 23, Section 1007, which is the boring version of if they're speeding on Pond Road. If the town has a traffic ordinance that adopts the state speed zones, such as on Fort Richmond Road, the 50-mile-an-hour zones, which I believe that it does. I'm pretty sure when I reviewed the ordinances when we first came into town, it did, but I know that ordinances have also been a subject of continuous review, so I certainly want to encourage leaving that in there. But from there, there's several different calculations I've heard over time. I'd say if you want rough numbers, assume 60% of a ticket value comes back to the town. It's not that easy of math. There's several fees that they work into the fine allocation percentages that require removal of this fee but not that fee, so roughly 60%.
Is that something we need to seek, or is
Nope.
that
No.
you guys return to us?
We don't see the
Or-
money at all.
Oh, the state,
State.
okay.
So what happens, I write a ticket,
Right.
I wrote you a ticket for speeding today. Let's say it's $150, I mean, you were going too fast. So you say, yep, I was, you mark guilty, mail it off to the state. What happens from there is the court administrator's office will essentially write the town a check saying, this is a remittance for ticket numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and
Great big letters,
Here you
select
go.
board member Emily Vergobi.
yes, and we
Right,
also
yeah.
do a press release just to make sure that
Of
everybody.
course.
So the judicial bureau, I believe the judicial bureau, but it might be the court administrator's office, does publish that information and they do send it to the town. It's also available on their website and I can provide that address. Usually town treasurers will review it to make sure that they're getting ticket money. Using the Rutland City, Rutland Town example, it was the diligence of the town or the city, whichever person was harmed in that, to say, hey, we're getting the money or we're not getting the money. I know where we see it often occurs in similarly named towns, so towns or villages, so Town of Newfane, Village of Newfane, I know that there were times where the village was not getting money they were supposed to receive and the town was receiving it, so they were very diligent in checking that form. Can't hurt. There's also, but it's also only on fines paid, so if you wrote me a ticket and I didn't pay the ticket because I'm not of a mindset to do so, well, that's just money that sits out there floating. We've seen the suspension amnesty programs the state has been doing, and basically they're saying we're writing it off as bad debt. So it's one of those things where there's a chunk of money to be had there, and certainly that's something that's worthy of spending time. I can provide a breakdown of our tickets and ticket numbers so that can actually be tracked if the town wanted to do that, but
That's Cindy's.
I just,
worry.
we
You're
we
just
re-
wondering.
Yeah,
Yep.
we review outgoing money, but we don't review incoming,
Incoming,
so I
yeah.
just wanted to make sure.
Do you mind if I take a question from the audience?
Absolutely.
Ronna?
Hi, my turn, right?
Yes,
Um,
now it is, you're on.
I was wondering if is it all, the program called Neighborhood Watch, was it all helpful? When I first moved into my neighborhood, there was a sign that says that we had it. I think it's not active, but would those kind of programs be helpful in any way?
I am glad you asked that question.
Yes, me
So,
too. Because
here-
years ago, we tried that with our, to get neighborhood watch things going on, and there was something that we weren't doing properly or something, so.
So the Neighborhood Watch is actually a program orchestrated and overall operated by the National Sheriff's Association, which is a nonprofit organization which shares a similar name to us, and we pay dues to them, but we're not really obligated. We just receive benefits, kind of like the Vernon Fire Association, that they're an organization that supports law enforcement. So that's, the Neighborhood Watch is a national program, and in terms of the burglaries that have occurred, there are so many strategies. I could probably spend a couple hours here and we still wouldn't hit them, and most people would be bored. However, we've already, as you know, we published an article in the town newsletter in terms of what people can do to protect their properties. That's certainly one aspect of what you can do, but there's also many other things. And one of the things that, for me, our community policing strategy has always been to develop relationships with community members, because ultimately, if there's one person in town, they can only be in one place at one time. Laws of physics are pretty straightforward on that. And while we can drive really fast, there still is distance to cover in getting from point A to point B. So by embracing the community as essentially aids or assistance to us, relying on the eyes and the reports from the community, that is a huge benefit to us. Hey, somebody's at my neighbor's house, they're shaking on the door and I don't know who they are. Well, it could be the furnace guy who, he just came out from repairing the furnace, but he's now trying to get back in, the door locked behind him. Those things happen. But it could also be the guy who's forcing his way into the house. So the Neighborhood Watch, through both the formal program, but also through informal implementations of the concept, essentially what it does is try to build a network, a community to say, hey, I noticed somebody's at Jim's house. Pick up the phone, hey, Jim, are you home? Oh no, I'm at work. Somebody's at your house, call the cops. So that's one benefit of Neighborhood Watch. Down in Florida, where there's a much more significant population, you'll see actual patrols. And is that something that could occur in Vernon? Absolutely. I mean, it really ultimately comes down to volunteer hours and people wanting and willing to be doing that. A lot of Vermont communities, what they tend to do is say, you know what, we're just gonna make a call list in our neighborhood and we'll be in touch with each other. We'll have a potluck once a year so we can just hang out. The fire department, I mean, that's, not that it's really having to do with Neighborhood Watch, but community events like that are the way we network with each other. And by doing things like that, we really establish that overall community mentality. You start setting up the relationships so that you look beyond just your own four walls. You look at your neighbor's house and keep an eye on what's going on. Some people work nights, they're watching the houses during the day. Some people work during the day, they can watch the houses at night. So certainly, Neighborhood Watch is a fantastic program, and we're certainly happy to assist in either making the connections to establish an official watch, or even just supporting the overall mentality. The official program does have some costs associated with it, purchasing signs and other paraphernalia. But overall, I mean, that's something that is certainly doable, and it's not unreasonably expensive, but it's also a question, do you want to spend the money on buying signs, or do we just want to know who our neighbors are and be able to work with them, so.
Anybody have any questions for Lieutenant Anderson? No questions here either. Isn't that surprising? We got a start moving on, but, I appreciate you coming in.
My
Yes,
pleasure.
thank you.
And giving us this update. It's, I think maybe quarterly or something like that, that it should continue, or do you think it should come sooner? Monthly,
I think every other month would be.
every other month?
Every other month, quarterly, monthly, whatever you want.
Okay,
I'm easy.
okay.
I think,
I heard that about you.
I think for our sake, it would be good to do every other month, so that we can keep track of the hours. Cause, I mean, they're the ones performing it, but we're the ones that sign the contract.
Absolutely, agreed.
So I think maybe cause I think we only meet twice a month. I think once a month is
Yeah, that's too
probably a
much.
little bit too much,
Right.
but I don't know that I wanna wait 3 months,
I
so.
think you're right, I agree with you.
Well,
Yep.
two things to mention. The system from which this report comes from, we can actually provide you access to it. So you could, as select board members, look anytime you want. I could give it to Michelle.
That
and
would
she
be
could-
Yeah,
great.
that would be great.
I'll get with Michelle and get it. It's
Yes, that's.
simple.
Yeah,
But you do have access to
Okay.
that, and it's a very simple program to operate. The second thing is that we actually send this with our monthly invoice. So if there was a question, it should come through as part of the bills and warrants, I would assume.
Okay.
But Cindy should certainly be able to provide that. I literally printed out the same thing. The only part that wouldn't be included in that is the last page.
we can
Which-
get that on Facebook.
Well,
Yeah.
to me, that's a very useful tool, that
Yep.
last page. I didn't realize that was on Facebook.
Yep, it is.
Well,
Under,
weekly, right? Or you
We do
just
it
turn-
weekly.
Yeah, so it'd be
Yeah, I think,
highlighting it
I
every
think
week.
monthly is certainly more than enough for me, but it does give you trends.
Yeah.
If you look at a whole year or
Yep.
two.
Yep. Okay, that sounds great.
So
Great.
do you still want him to come every other month, or
Well, I
this
think-
every month and him quarterly?
I think, if the compilation, the last page, I'm sure it's emailable.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
if you wanted to email that to Michelle, and then, so it was kind of like a correspondence, if you will. We could look at the hours once a month, and maybe, if you wanna do it monthly or whatever, but I don't know that we would need him to come in.
I do think it's helpful when
I
there's
li-
something
yeah, I like-
unusual
I
going
like
on
to
to
see
have
the
you
person
here.
and, yeah.
Yeah, that, and certainly,
So how
was
about
it
we go
Officer
quarterly?
Norton was here and,
Yep.
and did, I think, a very fine job of talking
Yeah.
about that particular subsection of trend there.
So
Yeah.
so how about we have him email Michelle all the info, she, in turn gets us the info, and you come and, talk to us face to face quarterly.
And I would just like to make one point that if something screwy does come up, certainly, and I think we've had a pretty good relationship
Oh,
with the town
definitely,
on
yeah,
that
we need to
level.
do that, we
But
need to keep up and.
we'll ask to be put on the agenda or come in
Yeah.
during public participation, just so we can get word out.
Absolutely, that would be great, that would be great.
But
Awesome.
I think as on a business level, quarterly would be sufficient if you have the information provided on a
Yes.
regular basis.
Yes.
Yep.
So, we can do that.
Okay,
So,
thank
Thank
you
you.
very, very much for coming, thank you.
I don't wanna take that chair with me.
No, don't. All right, let's do approval of minutes quickly. You could have had mine.
I don't think it's Sandy ones.
Oh.
Do you want them together or separately, Chris?
Together's fine.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the special Vernon Health Board hearing held on Monday, August 15th, 2016, as presented in those minutes. And along with that, the Vernon Select Board regular meeting of Monday, August 15th, as presented.
Second.
All right, is this on the minutes?
Absolutely, yes.
Go ahead.
On the regular minutes, I'd like to recommend a correction.
I don't know if I have it.
On page 2 of 4 at the top, it says Officer Norton can give this information to Brana. I would like to delete or replace to publish in the town newsletter. First of all, it is not the town newsletter, it is.
It's Brana's newsletter,
It
right?
is not my newsletter, it is the community's newsletter, and it is not an official organ of the town. And I'd like that to say instead, give this information to Brana Zlakaver for inclusion in the Vernon Community News. And Vernon Community News should be italicized.
But that's not what we said. The minutes have to reflect what we said. I understand, you know, you're trying to correct something, but you can't correct something we didn't say. So if you would,
Publish in the newsletter.
but now what'll happen is because you've said it, it'll go in these next minutes coming up. Do you know what I mean? You can't correct something that we didn't say. If we had always,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Do you get what I say?
We've
'Cause-
obviously made an improper reference
Right.
during
Right.
this meeting,
And,
but
and I recognize that.
it
I
stands
know
as an
that,
improper
yes,
reference.
and also I'd like to recommend, Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised 11th edition, section 48 on minutes for the correct format of minutes.
All we need to do is,
Page 468.
motions and stuff like that.
Right.
What do you, yeah. So anything else in there is just something that, we have in there, so we have reference it at another time in space. So, yeah, yeah.
So just to help the new secretary if she wants to see
Yeah,
how they should be.
yeah, appreciate that, thank you. All right, so motion's been made and seconded to, accept the minutes of, the health board minutes of, I can't remember, and, thank you, and then the regular meeting of August 15th as well. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, moving on.
Madam Chair, I have here a list of warrants. I move that the select board approve for payment the following invoices and financial statements under the following warrants. The first warrant, 5T, accounts payable in the amount of $141,056.03. Warrant 33S, payroll, in the amount of $11,641.42. Warrant 34S, also payroll, $11,643.29. And finally, warrant 35S, payroll in the amount of $10,649.86.
Second.
Can I just make a point when writing the motion not to use the words financial statements? These aren't financial statements that we're approving. Financial statements has a connotation that you're talking about,
I'm sorry.
balance sheets, so
Well,
on and so
yeah,
forth.
strike that. What I was trying to
Yeah.
do was include invoices and
You just have to say it's
Bills
just,
time
Just
sheets.
the warrant.
just
Bills and
warrants,
warrants.
just bills and warrants, yep.
Fine, strike that. then,
Just
yes.
the term
Well,
financial
of
statements
course,
is indicative
I tend to
of more
get carried
information,
away
so.
sometimes.
I never do.
No,
I'm glad that you do.
I should follow your example.
Yes,
Madam
of
Chair.
course you should. I love you're serious. Anyway,
And I will in the
Okay.
future.
so motion has been made, I'm sorry, but it was funny. Motion's been made and seconded to pay and sign, for warrants, 5T, accounts payable, in the amount of $141,056.03. 33S payroll, $11,641.42. 34S payroll, $11,643.29. 35S payroll, $10,649.86. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. So, of course, most of them already been paid. Capital Plan Committee, you have 2 minutes. No, I'm joking.
Well,
Not even.
Well, they weren't talking, this was for you to approve their,
Yeah, I know they're not gonna talk, but we're going to talk, and I want Linda
We're gonna
to.
listen for 2 minutes.
Yeah, she's
while
gonna
she
listen.
talks.
they should want you to
No,
be
I won't
like
talk.
guarded.
I don't make, I never make any sense,
Just
so I
because
don't
nobody
talk.
requested, so I didn't want anybody to put on the spot.
You only get my opinion, and that's not ever good. So, have you had time to review the the mission statement, if you will, or I can't even find it,
The
so.
one that
Well, mission
came,
statement
yeah,
and
the
goals.
one that came to me, was established by Select Board Vote 3/21/16.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah,
what
so did everybody review it?
I did.
Yes? Do you have any questions about it?
I don't know. No?
I
Oh,
did.
just a minute. I know that. I will get to you, Linda. Thank you. Emily? No. Go.
Okay.
What's your question?
When
Sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
No,
or
that's
short.
okay. When I sent to you July, on a note dated July 25th, 2016, our copy of our job description and questions, and asked if you'd look it over, I'm assuming that's your reply, was something you had done in March. So, I wondered if you did look at what I sent you with that, which was the, job description and questions that the board had agreed to last year.
Okay, that was last year. We,
Right.
but we
But this
changed it.
was done, and we weren't notified that you did change this.
We haven't changed anything yet.
Well, no, that
This,
This
we're
says-
working on it.
Yeah,
Capital
it's,
Plan Committee established by Select Board Vote 3/21/16, so I'm assuming you voted on it.
That was the
what
committee.
Was that just changing the?
That was when the committee was created.
Yes, yeah, that was,
No, this has not been approved.
Okay,
yeah,
like,
this
yeah, this
is,
hasn't been
okay.
yeah,
approved.
perhaps that.
okay,
I'm like,
well,
why is she saying that?
Yeah,
I
see,
don't
at the
remember
bottom,
it
it's
being
not,
approved.
approved.
And then I'm thinking, oh boy, my
Just
old
takes
age
us
is
a-
kicking in.
takes us
I mean,
a
I've been
while to
accused of having lapse in memory.
so basically, it appears to me to be the same thing that we had
Yes,
the
pretty
year
much.
before, pretty much, except for the fact that to help the town understand the, tax impact and consider relative need, timing, et cetera, that's something new. And we would need to, have the cooperation of the treasurer to do that, because none of us are financial.
Which one are you referring to?
It's about halfway
It's,
down, help the town to
one-
understand the
look,
tax
six
impact.
The sixth one
Oh.
down.
Capital.
Yeah, I think that,
I mean, that's-
Do you not work with the treasurer anyway, or is that
We
not
generally
usual?
don't really work with the treasurer.
okay.
What we do is,
you talk with
we talk with each department head,
Okay,
find out what they need, why they need it, if it's
Sure,
something that's a
sure.
need as opposed to a want,
right.
and
Well, do you
then,
think we should extract that sentence?
well, I don't know if
because
that's
you
something
do
you
pres-
need us to do, because we do present the budget, and
Yes,
we
you
do
do,
work
that's-
with this, we do work with the treasurer at that point when we're talking about the budget. But we don't, at this time, help the town understand the tax impact of the capital
Well,
expenditures.
by working with the treasurer though, at that final stage, that does prepare some sort of understanding
Yeah, that-
of
yeah.
what the impact of the taxes are, doesn't it, or?
I don't think so much as
No.
it is you help the town understand, as
Okay.
it is us. Do you know
Okay.
what I mean?
All right, well,
And,
then we-
and we're the town legislative body, so I would assume,
Well, but
you know,
these
we
meetings
can
are all,
change that.
these meetings are all open to the town too.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
right, yeah.
So I mean, if you
Instead
wanna,
of saying help the town to understand, since we work for you,
what do
change
you
it to
think to
select
select
board?
board? Yes, we could do that, to help the select board understand, I think that's a great idea.
anything from you ladies?
That fit with you?
How about,
It's all the
Emily?
same.
You all set with that?
Me too.
Josh, you okay with
Yeah,
that?
that's fine.
Yeah, I wrote it in
Steve?
already.
Yeah, me too.
My copies.
Yep.
Okay, because other than that, it appears to be basically what we're doing, just a
Exactly
little
right.
different verbiage, but I
Right.
think it's.
Yep.
My 2 minutes is up, so goodbye.
No, don't leave yet. I just want to tell you, how much we appreciate all you do, I would want the job.
Okay.
I used to have it years ago, don't want it
I
anymore.
know you did, you
Yeah.
passed it off.
I did. So what does everybody think? You think that we'd like to approve this tonight
I would.
with that correction?
Yes, and Madam Chair, I so move that we approve this capital plan committee mission statement and goals as amended just now to change the word town to select board. with the elements included on the submittal.
Second.
Is that
That
complete?
is
That's more than I should have
blah,
done.
blah, blah.
Yeah, well,
Here, here.
verbosity has always been,
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept the capital plan mission statement and goals as corrected, adding the word select board and replace, and doing away with that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, yes, that's what I said. The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do for the
Well, we have a good committee.
capital plan committee.
Got a
Thank
good
you.
committee.
Yes, you do have a great committee. Thank you. Okay, guess who's on? It is West Road. Okay, you have 1.5.
No, you do. I'm just here to listen.
Yeah. Okay, West Road, discuss issues with the culverts. All right, now, this is a place where, up by, I dare not to say the names, but you've worked there before. It's where the dirt road is. And the reason why I bring this tonight, I had one select board go up there to get their thoughts on it, was a while ago. I was wondering if, because we went to Sac Road, if it wouldn't behoove us to go to West Road, to see for ourselves, all of us, with David and with the families involved, to see if there's some way that we could help them, help David, or David help us to understand, or whatever. What did you think? What do you think?
are we talking about the same place that I
Yes.
was at in the spring? I think that would be a wonderful idea, because frankly, I was up there, I took
It's up around the
pictures.
Millers and the
But I,
Lions.
I'm not a road person, I mean, I'm obviously not a road person, I'm a
I'm not
chemist, so, the thing is that, it would be better for me to see it through David's eyes.
Me too.
And also hear the complaints from the citizens at the same time.
Yep.
Because, that I think would allow us, for whatever it's worth, to put our 2 cents worth in about what should be done.
Yes, and it would be good
And
to.
I also think that it sends a message out that we're concerned,
Yes,
which we need to be
That's amazing.
concerned, it's our job,
absolutely,
and to visit sites and so forth.
yeah.
Now, is it there or is it up further?
It's around there, yeah.
Where?
It's, I said, between the Millers and the Martins.
Right,
It's
so
on the
it's-
dirt part of it.
It's up West Road, after you leave the pavement,
You
you
keep
go up the
going
hill
straight.
and it kind of fishtails around up through there. And then pretty soon you're at Josh Merritt's, which is way
Yeah.
at the top. Well, don't go to Josh Merritt's, it's
Yeah.
further down the street.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of things going on there that certainly are very interesting. This spring when I was there, was a lot of water running. Probably now it's dry as a bone.
Yeah, I've got a
But,
friend whose driveway washes
It's,
out every year,
it's,
so.
you know, the
okay.
gullies,
Yeah.
we're talking about the gullies again.
Well, I think it would be
So
a
the dirt
good
stretch.
idea to do that. I mean, before the weather gets bad.
Yes, and I
Before the
say,
road
you know,
freezes.
maybe our next meeting, go early, say 5.
Well, that's the thing.
Or
you know, you-
5:30,
You wanna,
which is better for you, Josh? I mean, you have a new job now, so,
5:30.
okay. So why don't we set up a 5:30 to meet there, to begin the meeting there, and then come back and start our
Right.
meeting here at,
Right.
you know, recess there and come back here for, sound great?
Would you like me to hand deliver notifications to them?
Yes, please do so. And are you gonna be available, David, at our next meeting, which is is it 19th? I can't even see.
This is 19, should be able to.
the 19th, yeah.
Now, are we talking about culverts or water runoff?
I'm not sure. They
Okay.
have, they will have questions for all of us, and I want you there because I need to have you tell us.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
we need someone
So
who
we
knows
need your
about culverts and
professionalism
drainage.
and, you know, because we don't know, okay?
All right,
Because it may be a culvert,
It may-
lack of culverts that
It may be
there
a lot of
is
things,
water
yeah,
runoff.
yes.
But we
Yeah,
don't
there
know
you
that, you do.
Maybe 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
I see it as a learning
I
experience,
do
certainly
too.
for myself.
And you know, years ago, the select board used to get up out of their chairs and go to places and visit, and I think it's only
Yeah,
right that
nothing
we
wrong
do
with
that for
Nothing
the
wrong with
taxpayers,
that, no.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, David, thank you very much. It was only a
Okay.
minute and a half. On the 19th, and so it'd be 5:30, and you're okay with that as well? All right, good. As long as you're not out and about and
My daughter's got
on
a game, but
vacation.
we'll see. No, I'm around, but my daughter's got a game, so we'll see.
Oh, 3:30. Right?
Maybe late, that's all.
Okay. All right, senior room, naming it the Elmhurst Room.
So moved.
So second. What?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful.
I just couldn't hear them.
It's called the senior room. Why? It's that little room over here.
Yes.
All right, and we're going to now call it, name it, the Elmhurst Room. It has been moved and seconded. Now, discussion, go ahead.
First, I want to apologize for putting it in the newsletter as the Elmhurst Room before it was officially
I
decided.
didn't even notice, I was just reading and it
I didn't
was
get
kind
the
of a little
newsletter,
part of it.
so I
I'll
wouldn't
put
know
you in it,
one
I'll
way or
put
the
you in
other.
it, you'll be my 227th subscriber.
Oh, good.
Right.
And most
Oh,
of them are not my.
very
friends.
nice. I have some stories. If
Please
you
do.
come tomorrow to my house to get yourself a radio,
Okay.
I'll give you some batteries even. I'll even program the thing, okay? But I have some pictures, I have some stories I found of the old, when I was editor of the newspaper and when Linda was editor of the paper, so.
And back on the subject, who is Elmhurst?
Oh, Elmhurst isn't a person, it's a name.
It's a name,
And
it's,
Barbara Mosley presented this very beautifully at our, one of our previous meetings.
yeah.
But
the
where,
seniors been-
where we're sitting right now,
Have the seniors been asked if this is what they want? 'Cause
I'm sure
Well-
they would. Barbara
Yeah.
came up with a very good plan, and I highly support it, and I think the seniors probably do too, don't they?
Well,
No.
No, number
don't?
one,
I
this
know
is
one who
a
doesn't.
town office
Really?
building, it's not a senior room. It's not, the seniors don't own anything, the library don't own anything, the treasurer, the town clerk don't own anything, the select board don't own anything. It's a people's building.
Well, I'm
So-
curious, why would anyone have a concern
Problem with
about
it,
that?
right, tell
Who
me.
is Elmhurst? Is he a?
It's
is he-
not it's not a person, it's a place. This building used
But
to,
this is the Puffer Room and it's in honor of somebody named Puffer.
Raymond H. Puffer,
Raymond?
yes,
But
right.
who is
But
Elmhurst in the town?
Elmhurst is not a person, it is a place, it is a house that was built right here on this site
Oh,
Yeah.
by
that's all
by
I'm
a
asking.
wealthy old family. Well, yeah, I mean, did you
I
see
mean,
the
his-
town report this year?
And he was my uncle years ago.
No, did you see the town
I
report?
have the town report from this year. Did I read that part of it?
No, it's the picture on the front and that's
That's the
Elmhurst.
Staten House, the Staten House, or
But
whatever you
it's
call it.
also was
It
called
the
Elmhurst.
Elmhurst. Right.
Okay, I
And,
didn't know
and
Okay.
I
that.
guess why it was called Elmhurst is because there were elm trees on a hill.
I did not know that,
Okay,
Steve.
it's all right. Barbara's very good at that.
Very
sort of
good,
thing.
we'll see you tomorrow for your radio, right? Promise.
Yeah, about 11.
That sounds perfect.
Anyways,
Yep.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and it actually ties this building presently to what was here years ago.
What was passed, yeah,
That's right,
absolutely.
yeah.
All right, anybody for more discussion? Anybody else from the audience? Okay, moving on, motion's been made and seconded to name that middle room as the Elmhurst Room. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it.
Thank you.
Well,
Because there's
you have to
no
ask for-
more-
You have to ask for no.
Well, you said aye, you said, I'll poll the board.
No, you don't have to poll them, but
Okay.
you should offer
There's no,
opportunity.
any opposed? Hearing none,
Okay, good.
the ayes have
I
it.
almost said no. I almost said no, because none of us were opposed.
Oh.
Anyways, I would like to thank Ms. Mosley
Yes,
for the
thank you.
suggestion, and I think it's always important if we can to tie the present day to the past, because that's how we map our way towards the future.
Absolutely, I
Thank
agree.
you.
Yep. Okay, annual report schedule.
yes.
You have the report on that for us, I know, but you have a report for us to let us know,
Yeah, just, I mean, it's, it's the annual report, it's gonna get done, but I just wanted to let everybody know that we have to push everything forward, back, earlier, 30 days earlier. Because at town meeting, they voted that, we wouldn't distribute to everybody in town, that it would only get mailed if you called and people could come pick it up. So in order to do that, we still have to have a townwide mailing of postcards, which has to go out 30 days before town meeting. And these have to be available 30 days before, so that people can come get them. A slight little warning, we're hoping that this new system is gonna be a lot more time consuming. We still have to do a townwide mailing, we still have to do the printing. And now we're going to be hand delivering to avoid a $3.50 charge every time somebody calls and says they want a town report, unfortunately. So just be aware that I may be calling on the select board to save money.
Oh, I definitely, I told you I
To
would.
run some out, because it used to cost us $800, $600 last year to mail them to every house. And at $3.50, just 100 of them are gonna cost us. They were $1 a piece, now they're like gonna be like $3.50, $4 a piece,
But we're hoping to cut down on that. So question,
hopefully.
right, so question is, and I don't know if you know the answer, understandably for the first year, we send the postcard out saying, like, what delivery method do you want, right? And
Oh, we have to, no, by statute,
Oh,
we
every
have
year?
to send.
Yes.
If this is what it's voted on, we still have to
Right,
send that, so we still
and
have to do that
everything is
postage.
pushed up now.
Well, no, I understand that for the first year, for following years, we have to ask them
Oh,
every
yes,
year what they would
every
like.
year.
It's
no,
not
no,
asking what they like, it's, no, it's saying it's available. If
No.
you call,
No.
we'll either
Oh.
hand deliver it or
Oh.
mail it, so it has to be available however they want it, but
I
we
see.
have to let them know, it's printed, it's available at these locations.
Yep.
If you can't get to those locations,
Okay.
call this number, we'll mail it to you.
Right.
Okay, I
If
see.
it becomes
Or
a
hand deliver
problem,
it.
like say this year, then the following year, those that are on the select board could put another article in asking for something different, cause it has to be changed at town meeting, otherwise it goes forward just the way it was voted last year.
But yeah,
Um,
that's statute, we
right.
can't.
And
that's-
because of
have
what
to go
was
out 30 days.
voted, I want this very clear to everybody, because the way it was voted at town meeting, everything's been pushed up. So now
Yeah, that's
you
been-
don't have, you know,
An
till
extra month.
February 1st or middle of February, everything has to be done in January pretty much. So,
Yeah.
cause all the mailing of the cards, like she said, has to go out 30 days early, so
Yeah.
don't forget that, people.
Yeah, and we have to have it in here 30 days early, it couldn't just, before it could just be mailed a week before the town meeting. It's gotta
It
be
has to be-
available 30 days before, as soon as
Has
those
to be in our
postcards go out.
mailboxes 10
Luckily, we
days
got a
before.
weekend, so technically,
Well,
we don't
That's
have-
strange.
Not
it's
not anymore, not the
spelled
town
right out in
report.
No, I know.
state
Yeah,
statute,
'cause
so
now
if
you
they
have
vote
to-
do
In the
this,
past.
this is
Yes.
exactly how it has to
Give
be
me a
done.
notice for the newsletter also while you're doing it.
Okay,
What's that?
A newsletter notice,
For the,
when
For-
you're ready to
yeah,
let people
for
know.
these schedules, yes.
oh yeah, we'll definitely.
Okay, so
That's
that's,
the newsletter though. What's it called? Vernon News?
Vernon Community News and also Front Porch Forum.
Okay.
front porch
Porch
forum.
Forum.
When did you change the name? I like it.
That's not,
That's a
that's
website.
an electronic.
That's another social
Sorry.
media.
Okay, we'll get it out and we can write, you know, a press release.
Mind.
Make sure
I'm
that
like
gets out
off
too.
the wall tonight,
So everybody knows where to get
because
them.
I'm trying to hurry.
Yeah, and you're doing
So
fine.
this schedule doesn't apply anymore?
No, that's the budget, this is the annual report.
Yeah, we gotta go with
So
the
that's
budget
the
now.
annual report meeting, I just want
Can we
everybody to
move
know.
on to the budget
We can.
schedule?
So the
'Cause
budget
Emily's
schedule,
getting nervous here.
here's my suggestion, it's just my suggestion based on what I saw that you did last year.
Yep.
You looked like you met every week that you met regular, it was the next Tuesday. Again, everything's pushed up, so I tried to put the departments, that I knew were pretty bare to the bone and probably not a lot to talk about because, unless you're gonna cut employees.
I think
and
the
then-
schedule is perfect.
I like it, I'm missing the
that's-
sheriff's department, right?
Well,
That's in,
that's kind of a-
that's a contract.
Yeah, it's
It
just-
wasn't in
still has
last
to be
year's, I was
budgeted.
kinda wondering about that too, but
We-
general
we
expenses
do bring them
was
in.
last year's.
We have to have them in before, I think it's November 1st, if I'm correct. Am I correct, Lieutenant Anderson?
I believe you're correct, that's November 1st, and we'll provide notice of what our rates will be for different levels of services.
Yep.
We generally provide that as a letter, is that something that you'd like us to come in to talk about, or
If we
look
need
at
you
the letter
to.
and we can come after November 1st?
Yeah, well, yeah, contact her, do it, so you
I'm
you
gonna
have
put
done
you
in
on the
past.
schedule, so don't, you still send this letter, but.
Yes.
I'll send you
I'm
the
gonna put
letter.
you in here and I'll send
Yeah.
this to you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to come
I'll
talk.
just try to figure out where,
Alright,
before November first.
okay, I think this is a great schedule, I think that, we stick to it. Michelle will have a lot of them, prepared and, possibly
Yeah, they're
done
gonna
before
be
they
in-
come to us anyway, so it's not gonna be like she had talked to me about, you know, it's not gonna be like we did last year where we kept going over and over and over. By the time it comes to us, you know, at these dates, they should be pretty well.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that they'll go through my office first, and then they'll get out to you, and hopefully there won't, I mean, there's gonna be changes, but, hopefully we'll have skimmed off as much as we can.
Yep, that sounds wonderful, I think this way is perfect, and I think we stick
And
to
there
the
is,
schedule.
if you notice, there is an extra week in there, cause although the town report needs to, the annual report needs to go out, I left one extra week
Oh, we
that
definitely
Carol-
need to do that,
Carol
yeah.
can wait.
Yep.
Cause the budget gets to her kinda pretty prim ready.
Yep,
Okay, so
great.
that's the way it'll be.
alright,
Except I did put sheriff under October 4th and treasurer down to November 8th. Just to make sure that he.
okay, well, we'll get a new thing from you, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Something like that.
alright, so old business, we have none, is none here? No? Okay, moving on. Alright, public participation with anything that is on the agenda, anyone? Okay, you get 2 seconds, 1, 2, go.
I thought even I did, I'm like, really?
Alright, media, and that's not social media. Nothing, okay. Now, town administrator, you got,
Okay.
I'll give you a few minutes,
Oh, thank God.
yes.
Okay, so, a couple of meetings that I went to in the last couple of weeks. I did go up to Montpelier, they were discussing Act 174, where the state of Vermont, in very condensed form, has decided that the state of Vermont in total will be, 90% renewable energy, including all your driving, by 2020, or 2050, I think it was. So anyways, they're
I'll be
making
dead by
plans
then.
and writing plans to get that done and how the strategy's gonna work. So I wanted to make sure that when they were figuring out how to allocate required renewable energy locations, that they didn't, was kind of hoping they wouldn't do it on a regional basis, but do it on a town basis. Because then I was hoping that towns like Vernon, so one of the cons is towns like Vernon, who have awesome infrastructure sitting here, just waiting to be used and plugged into the grid again, and a bunch of free land, is prime space for solar panels, where Brattleboro will get all the credits because they're in the same region. And so towns like us could end up picking up more of that burden, or be, at least have that downward pressure. It doesn't look like that's gonna happen, cause right now they're saying that there's no requirement that we have to do this. So if the Windham Commission decides to become a region, and that hasn't gotten this far yet, but there could be, opportunities to opt out of the whole thing, which, I'll keep my ear to the ground with the discussions to make sure that, we know everything that's going on, and, I will keep you informed of that. Okay, so, and if you have any other questions about it.
Was that just on the municipal operations, or you said like 94%?
It's how would we work to make it that way, so,
But on a municipal level?
Nope.
On a household level?
everything, all your
They gonna force
cars,
me to buy an electric car?
no, there's no forcing, but
I'm
the
opting
town,
out right now.
but the town would say, okay, we're gonna have
You'll
more
be still
plugs.
here in 1950, I mean,
Recharge,
2050.
you know,
I
in your
won't,
car,
we
or-
don't care.
Right.
What that plan, more park and ride locations, more bike lanes, so all that would be part of it, yeah, it was pretty intense, but it's, right now is an opportunity to actually write the
It's getting better.
standards. And so I think you should have this in your standards.
The good thing is we're getting really good at opting out of what the state wants to do.
Yeah.
As long as we continue down that
Townwide
path,
vote,
we're gonna be
we opt
okay.
out.
Goodness, we're gonna succeed here.
Yeah, I know.
Or no, six.
Well, it wouldn't be the state you'd be opting out,
Something.
right now, there's no requirement, is what I'm saying, and I wanted to make sure that was the case,
Yeah,
that they're
okay.
not going to make you do this. They're really in just the mapping part of it, like, oh, this is a perfect place for solar, this is a horrible place for solar, doing that kind of thing, but, it was an interesting discussion, and like I said, I'll keep abreast of the developments on that. This morning I did attend a discussion at the Windham Solid Waste Management about the Brattleboro landfill solar project. And I would encourage the select board to allow me to invite the developers of that project over to give you a very more cohesive description of the money that Vernon could save if we decided to jump in on that net metering program. It looks like the downside and the risk is very small if we are smart about how many credits that we buy. But the commitment is long-term. However, like I said, the risk is that something better can come along next year where we could have saved more money and we're stuck with this plan. But then if it doesn't come along, we're gonna really wish that we probably did it. And if electric prices really skyrocket, so do I have your permission to maybe invite them? Now, they need to know by, what was it, November 1st, I believe, because they need to get their certificate of public good application into the public service. So if I could have them here, if it's not too busy on the next agenda,
Yeah, that
would
would be
that
great.
work for everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
guys? It's hard to hear your head shake, cause there's so many marbles going on there, Josh.
Well,
Okay.
you should be able to hear it better then.
Well, I don't know which way it's going, you see, whether it's going left and right or forward and back, I still hear them.
If it's longer, I'm shaking my head yes. If it's
Okay.
no, it's short.
Okay. I'm sorry, Michelle, I'm too being awfully silly this
I know, but you get punchy after 8:30, so
I
I'm
do,
like,
that's why I'm trying to
gotta
hurry
spit
everybody.
this stuff out. Okay. Wanted to let you know we've created a committee to evaluate the retirement funding that or investments that we're doing for everybody in town. So that, as in addition to a personnel committee, has been created. We're looking for bids for technology upgrades. Cause our current IT guy did submit a bid, but we are gonna get a number because it's a high price.
Yeah.
Right, you said we have a personnel committee already?
We are forming a personnel committee. We haven't met yet, but
Yeah.
it's
Cause does the select board have to finalize that?
probably,
Appoint
but
them, I mean,
until it's
appoint them.
all together and we start meeting,
Yeah.
then, but
So
that's in
you have
process.
people interested and stuff?
We do have people
Perfect.
interested, yeah,
What's
Good.
the purpose of the personnel committee?
to write the personnel policies.
I would like to be on that committee.
Perfect.
I won't be, I'm leaving.
Well, I'm leaving in March too, but
Are you?
Well, either way,
You're
you
gonna run
still
again?
gotta,
I
you
know.
still gotta approve it, whatever
Yeah.
happens, but the writing is gonna be kind of long. And it's gonna be a process to make sure that we cover everything. So more people, the better. We did a safety assessment on the building to satisfy some great discounts and opportunities with VLCT's passive, our insurance policies with them. And we did submit a grant for 50% match of $1,484 for safety improvements in the building, which included a battery powered light and a railing that we needed, which will also reflect on our insurance. And if we keep up with these things, then they're really nice to us on that end of it. So keep your fingers crossed for that. The signs had their biannual maintenance. They're both looking good. That came in under budget. In 2 years, we're gonna have to add $900 to budget because the gold leaf is breaking off the one on the south. And Tim wanted me to call your attention to probably what he is hoping is the last house in Vernon, which was at 76 T-Bird Lane, that wasn't correctly 911 address.
yep.
So the address has actually changed to 46. So I mean, right, you know that. Was it 43?
Yeah, we have a letter for
43,
that.
T-Bird Lane.
Oh, it's 43. Okay, so other correspondence was if you would like to, if you'd like to go through the VLCT municipal policies that they're proposing for this year, and if you'd like to submit any amendments, I did give you the paperwork to do that. And, let's see, I gave you the whole draft policy as well,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And let me know if you're interested in a candidate forum. So you get a toolkit to do that. I would also like permission from the board to
For the
attend.
president and for the governor?
It's for state candidates, it'd be like
Yes,
our
state,
local
yeah, no.
reps.
We've never held them. I like the idea for, local candidate forums.
There's,
Those are good.
that's what I think it's for. For,
I'm talking,
Sorry.
town, local,
oh, us.
yes.
Oh, would you, well, if you
That
guys
I-
would like to do something like that closer to election time.
Well, there was one
Well,
last
there,
year.
there's a group of people that.
That do that?
That do that, yep.
Okay, great.
I don't know if they will this year, if they don't, then absolutely we'll, grab a hold of it, but
Yeah,
I
that's
think they
easy
will,
enough.
they normally do,
That's
I
easy
think it's a
enough.
wonderful thing.
There's a municipal budgeting workshop on the 27th in Montpelier, if anybody else is interested, it's from the VLCT.
Why?
$60.
It has been, it's not now.
And I would like permission to attend, it's not an overnight, it's a $60 fee to go, and I think it would be helpful.
I think that would be useful.
Wanna go?
Do I wanna go? No, I don't. What day is it?
September 27th, it doesn't give me the day of the meeting.
Yeah, I think she should go,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to, but
yeah.
previous commitments.
Okay, and we have informed the school board of the change in the annual report budget. I have given them the opportunity to get their report over to
Oh,
Harold
yes, yeah.
by the 18th of January by 5 o'clock. She said if they get it to her book ready, she can get it in. Everybody else is gonna have to get it there by January 1st.
That means, what's it on here? The forums, do the budget forums happen after the town report is published?
Say that
Oh,
again?
we didn't do a budget forum last year, did we?
No,
Oh,
we did
didn't.
not.
That's right, okay.
I believe in them
But the
too, but we don't
school-
have the
But the
time.
school does,
Yeah, they do, but they're gonna have to have it early.
well, that's what I was just thinking.
Yep,
Yeah, but I couldn't remember if it was before or after the town report is released.
no, it's
It's
before,
before?
yeah.
And I'm working on quasi judicial training for everybody, and that's it, that's fine. That's fine.
Which will
Quiet.
help you all in the future,
Yes,
if
of
not
course,
right
The
away,
yes.
civil,
Yeah.
civil board
Civil
and
board.
the health board,
Yeah.
and if that
help
comes up
board and
again,
all
so-
that, so that we do right, so. All right, anything else?
Just two items. September 13th, I'll be attending as Vernon's representative to the Connecticut River Joint Commission of the Wantastic Subcommittee in Brattleboro. They discuss aspects of the river and things they're gonna be doing. That may in fact eventually tie in with some of the plans that we have or are being formulated here in town on river bank usage. And the second thing to announce is September 22nd, there's a nuclear decommissioning citizens advisory panel meeting at BUHS September 22nd, which I'll be attending.
At what time is that one?
That's at 6, and the CRJC, Connecticut River Joint Commission, is at 4:30 in the municipal center, top floor.
Okay. Mike Zaluzny was always, him and I were on the planning commission together.
Yes.
Years ago, and he was always right into that, he really was.
Well, the river is a wonderful asset.
Yep.
And
Yep.
not every town, has access to the
That's
river,
right.
and we do.
Yep. Anything else? Josh? Emily? Okay. You had your time,
Make a motion to adjourn.
all right.
Second.
Is it about anything on the,
No, it was about, I forgot to announce that the VCRD is having bringing one more group of people down, resources, Monday at 1, in this level, to talk with the planning commission about energy. And you'll probably be there, right? I probably will not. But
okay, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
Andy second the adjournment, did Andy second the adjournment?
She did it, but I don't have to worry about
She
that. We don't have to
overruled the
vote.
motion and the
Once-
second.
Yes.